They cut it off. We have important things to talk about. Welcome to Monkey Time. We're live every Wednesday at 8. We got a half hour, and you can call in 996-6775. Is that right? Did I do that right? 996-6775. Feel free to call. You can call right now. Get on the air. So we got a lot to talk about. The city's R line is a subject of new controversy, Carol. As if people just discovered that a free bus line for rich white people downtown is maybe, that runs later than any other bus line in the city for working poor people, right? Maybe that's, a little hypocritical. You know what it reminds me of, Carol? What? Reminds me of that new building in New York where you got the rich people going in one entrance and they got subsidized housing, but the only way they could do it was if the realtors and the rich people who would go in the front entrance forced all the subsidized housing people to go in the back entrance. Oh, that's a sign of the times. You know, it's funny, Carol. I went to visit some friends in New York this year, a few months ago. And there was there's rent control in some of these, an Upper West Side apartment. Friend, right? A friend of a friend. Upper West Side apartment. Mostly rich white people. But because of rent control, there were a few holdouts of old black ladies from that building in the 60s and 70s, right, Carol? Old ladies who held on way past where the landlords thought they would, right? And there was one old black lady who would greet people at the front lobby of this hoity-toity building that literally we parked at Central Park, and then there was Central Park, Central Park East. There it was. That's the building we were staying in. Well, the rent controlled was a lot less than what the people paid for their condos in that building. But here's the deal. Here's the thing. Here's the point. After a while, when the rich white people moved in and the rent controlled people got shoved out, this old black lady who would just greet people, she'd sit there all day. She had nothing to do. She was retired. She'd sit there in the lobby and just say hi to people as they came in. You know what? There was a push among the new rich white people to move her, because she hurt the building by saying hello to everyone that walked in. This poor old black lady who'd been there for 20, 30 years.
I was just wondering, their rent and the rent control is probably like what we pay here for top dollar stuff.
Oh, right? Yeah. Her rent control was apartment, yeah, I'm sure. But, that was the mindset. And this friend of a friend that I happened to be staying with was furious when this was going on, but she couldn't stop it. She tried, but she couldn't stop it. Everybody voted to say something. And now the old black lady, the friendly old black lady who just liked seeing people, was off some side entrance. And she still saw a lot of people, but not everyone who walked in. They just didn't like seeing this reminder that there were poor people in New York in their Upper East Side Central Park East apartment, God.
What about the airline?
What kind of people are that? Well, the airline's kind of like that, Carol. The airline's like, oh, let's have a free bus line for everybody that goes in a loop around downtown forever, never, right? We talked about this. We complained about this, I think, for Hopscotch a couple years ago, that to get from point A to point B with the R line, you had to go from point A all the way around downtown, all the way around, and 25 minutes later, you got to point B, would have been shorter to walk. We talked about this. And now they're raising rates on all the other bus lines. And Carol, I don't really mind that. It's inflation. It's been a long time since Raleigh's raised its rates on the buses. I know it's hard on the poor who use the buses, but everything's going up, And $1 each way is a very, 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 very reasonable fare. And $1.25,
what are they going to raise it to?
$1.50. That's also fairly reasonable. I hate to say it. It's a lot of money if you ride the bus every day to work, but I can understand that needs to happen.
Is that what they're going to raise it to, $1.50?
Yeah, they're going to slowly over the next couple of years, $1.25 and then $1.50, right? But still, that's a 25% rate increase next year, right? I think it's next year it comes in. But here's the point. And Octavia Rainey, who's a local activist, longtime Raleigh activist for the poor in Raleigh, particularly Southeast Raleigh, she says, Carol, you left off the second half of that sentence. Is a joke. Is a joke. Can you put that out there? The free bus just around downtown Octavia Rainey and other people are pointing out, so we've got this free bus line that rich white people, and it's not just white people, but rich people who come downtown for First Friday and whatever, and to party and celebrate, they get to ride all around for free, and they're not thinking about making that 50 cents, Carol, which these people could afford, right? They're not thinking about 50 cents a ride, and you get to ride the R line, right? That would be reasonable. That would be reasonable, right? I need sticks to make a shrug, to make a shrug. That would be reasonable, right? 50 cents to ride the R line. But a free R line that stays free, and Carol, it runs till 2 a.m. You know how many bus lines stop running at 10, 11, 12? You know how many people work the night shift? You know how many people would love to have a bus that takes them to their home or work at 2 a.m.? But no, it's the happy-go-lucky bar crowd that gets the free R line. Meanwhile, they're raising the rates on the poor people who need the buses. That's not right. Octavia Rainey, you're dead on target. It's a joke that the R line is going to remain free while they're raising rates on the other things. The R line should be 50 cents each trip. Bam. End of story. At least 50 cents a trip. You got those drunk people at 2 in the morning, Carol? You could charge them $1. They'd give you $5 to ride the 3 miles to get to the 1 mile. Ooh, here's the R line. Oh, I got to get from here to here, here to here. You hop on the R line, you go all the way around downtown, and then back around to here. Ah, it's a joke. You could argue people should get bikes, Carol. If you're riding the R line, you should get bikes. But here's the thing. It's really untenable now that they're raising rates on the poor people who use the buses to go to work. Buses are always going to be subsidized. Fact. You don't want to live in a city that subsidizes the buses? Don't live in a city. Fact. You would not have hospital workers without subsidizing the bus lines. You would not have cafeteria workers in the hospitals. You would not have a lot of nurses. You would not have a lot of people getting to work at all the malls, all the stores, everywhere around the outskirts of Raleigh, coming from downtown without these buses. Durham, too. You got to subsidize the buses. Creates a workforce, a mobile workforce. Even Republicans should be able to understand the value of a mobile, cheap workforce. That's what you want, right, Republicans? That's why you subsidize bus lines. But a free line that just panders to the hoity-toity downtown crowd, partying crowd, while you're raising the rates on everybody else? Untenable. Disgusting. Joke. Okay. What are we doing next, Carol? Valerie Macon. Don't you love how when Pat McCrory accepted Valerie Macon's resignation, he put in a dig at the liberal poetry elite? Oh, these elite groups. Whatever. That woman lied through her teeth on her resume, on her website, and then was picked up by the governor's office. They all lied. Remember, Carol, she said she was the distinguished poet, right? She was not. There was a distinguished poet. She was studying with that person as a student. Her website lied, she lied, the governor then lied. Who knows where the lies began? I think they began with Valerie Macon. You cannot claim that liberal poetry elites caused this problem when the woman you nominate lied on her resume. End of story. I feel bad for her. Pat McCrory smacked her upside the head with this. He was an idiot as usual, right? No, not liberal poetry elites. The woman was not qualified. The woman was kind of a joke herself. End of story. Okay, next. Let's put up number, 6. No. Is that 6? Oh, the one about Wendell Berry. So here's real poetry, monkeys. You ready? Here's real. Okay, a poem. A poem. That's how you know you're a real poet, Carol. Poem is two syllables. A poem. Wait, let me do that right. Okay, much better. This is one of the greatest poets ever living in the United States. He should be North Carolina's poet laureate, even though he lives in Kentucky. He's a farmer named Wendell Berry, political analyst and economist, ecologist, brilliant guy, brilliant liberal arts guy. This is from, here's the book. Her book. Okay, Carl. Corrected poems of Wendell Berry. Can you see that? Corrected poems of Wendell Berry. Okay. So, here we go. You ready? Manifesto. The Mad Farmer Liberation Front. That was the title, Carol. Here we go with the poem. Love the quick profit, the annual raise, vacation with pay. Want more of everything ready-made. Be afraid to know your neighbors and to die. And you will have a window in your head. What does that even mean, Carol? I get the other part, but the window in your head stuff, this is poetry. It makes you think. You're like, what an interesting couple of words to string together. A window in your head. If you want more of everything ready-made, be afraid to know your neighbors and to die. I love poetry, Carol. And you will have a window in your head. Not even your future will be a mystery anymore. Your mind will be punched in a card and shut away in a little drawer. Carol, that's outdated. Punch cards, anybody remember computer punch cards? That tells you this poem's from the late 60s, right? Early 70s, when computer programs were actually holes punched into little cards that you fed into a machine. So instead of your mind will be punched in a card and shut away in a little drawer where they keep the punch cards to run the programs, seriously, they used to have little pieces of cardboard that they punch holes in. That's how computers were run. They don't believe me, Carol. The kids with their interwebs. They don't believe me. So maybe now your mind will be sent through a series of tubes and shut away in a cached, web browser. In a flash drive. Oh, very good. Your mind will be sent through a series of tubes and shut away in a flash drive. There, that's updating poetry for today's lifestyles. Thank you. Anyway, so if you do all those things, want more of everything ready-made, love the quick profit, the annual raise, vacation with pay, be afraid to know your neighbors and to die, not even your future will be a mystery anymore because you'll have a window in your head. Your mind will be shoved away in a little flash drive. When they want you to buy something, they will call you. When they want you to die for profit, they will let you know. So friends, every day, do something that won't compute. Love the Lord. He's religious, Carol. Did I say that? He's one of those Christian liberals. Love the Lord. Christian liberal ecologist, economists, farmer. Love the world. Work for nothing. Take all that you have and be poor. This one is hard, Carol. You ready? Love someone who does not deserve it. Denounce the government and embrace the flag. That one confuses me too, Carol. Denounce the government and embrace the flag. This is the Mad Farmer Liberation Front's manifesto. Hope to live in that free republic for which it stands. Give your approval to all that you cannot understand. It's getting a little manic here now. Praise ignorance for what man has not encountered, he has not destroyed. Wow, that's deep. Ask the questions that have no answers. Invest in the millennium. Plant sequoias. Say that your main crop is the forest that you did not plant, that you will not live to harvest. Say that the leaves are harvested when they have rotted into the mold. Ooh, that's nature, Carol. That's a farmer. The leaves are harvested when they've rotted into the mold that creates the soil that's fertile. You know how that goes. Call that profit, right? The leaves harvested when they rot into the mold. That mold, that's your profit. Oh, this is such good poetry. Prophesy such returns. Put your faith in the 2 inches of humus, not hummus, humus, I'm sorry. You know what the difference is, Carol, right?
Yes, what's the taste?
Hummus is delicious. I made some hummus the other night. It was very creamy and good. Hummus is the chickpeas. Humus is the 2 inches of rich, fertile stuff that's the rotting leaves on the top of the forest floor. Let me try that again. Say that the leaves are harvested when they have rotted into the mold. Call that profit. Prophesy such returns. Oh, what a great return on the investment. Look at all that mold and those leaves. Put your faith in the 2 inches of humus, sorry, not hummus, humus that will build under the trees every 1,000 years. That's long-term investment strategy right there. The humus building up under the trees for 1,000 years. Oh, next page. We're almost done. Listen to carrion. Dead bodies. Listen to carrion. Put your ear close and hear the faint chattering of the songs that are to come. In the carrion, he's saying. Expect the end of the world. Laugh. Laughter is immeasurable. Be joyful that you have considered all the facts. So long as women do not go cheap for power, please women more than men. Oh, Carol, what's that? Is that a little bit of that 60s sexism? So long as women do not go cheap for power, please women more than men. That kind of implies that, I'm not so happy with that line. Ask yourself, will this satisfy a woman satisfied to bear a child? Will this disturb the sleep of a woman near to giving birth? That's pretty hetero, Carol. It's very hetero. But, I like him anyway. He's a great poet. You ready? We're back to the good stuff. I could have cut that out, but I'm giving you the whole thing because I'm all about the truth. Good advice for straight farmers. Straight farming man. No, you can tell it's from the late 60s. Come on, cut him some slack, Women were secondary at that point. I'm sure he's better now. His poetry's less sexist now. Go with your love to the fields. There you go, Carol. It just says your love. Go with your love to the fields. Lie easy in the shade. Rest your head in her lap. Swear allegiance to what is nighest in your thoughts. As soon as the generals and the politicos can predict the motions of your mind, lose it. Oh, I love that. As soon as the generals and the politicos can predict the motions of your mind, lose your mind. Ah, so good. Leave it as a sign to mark the false trail, the way you didn't go, the way you didn't go. Be like the fox who makes more tracks than necessary, some in the wrong direction. Did you know foxes do that, Carol? I did not either. I trust the farmer. Last line, you ready? Practice resurrection. Thank you. It's Wendell Berry, the Mad Farmers Liberation Front Manifesto. Oh, they're so good. There's such good poetry in here. But that ruined it for you, Carol, didn't it? That straight stuff. You get around it, yeah. If you're gay or lesbian and you encounter this stuff that's, or even just feminist, and you encounter this stuff that's just feminist, that's a little lesser, Carol. Feminist, just being feminist is a little low. It's a little below being gay or lesbian. You know how that is. So if you're gay or lesbian or just a little feminist, then you understand you work around this stuff. If there's good, a lot of the culture was sexist, little bits pop up. We're all sexist. We all have those little, racist too, those little bubbles that pop up, right? That's why we don't talk about racism here at Monkey Time. We talk about embracism. Yes, you try to be forgiving of everybody's little bubbles. And Wendell Berry, that was a little bubble of assuming that your audience, your readers are all male, and that the female is somehow a little lesser, off to the side, a kind of a side issue. And you get used to it, you work around it, right, Carol? Yep. If the rest is good, you forgive them the little lapse.
That's a good way for living your life.
Good way for you living your life, Carol says. Yep. Embracism. Embracism.
What do you want to talk about next?
I think, speaking of which, let's talk about the crappy way Israel's treating the Palestinians. What do you think? Oh, no, let's do number 5. Oh, well, that's pretty good too. No, leave that. Remember, monkeys, remember, before you started paying attention to Israel this year, the status quo in Gaza is Israel has strict control over the land. The people of Gaza cannot even use the Gaza seaport. They can't. They can't travel without Israel's say-so in and out of Gaza. There's no exports from Gaza. Their economy's crushed. Israel prevents exports from Gaza. Very few exports go out. The economy, that's why things are such a mess. They're trying to make things so horrible that Hamas loses power. But Israel's the one doing the economic blockade. Seriously. They're crushing these people every day. You don't hear about it. And then over in the West Bank, they're stealing all their land. The far right-wing religious fundamentalists in Israel have a stranglehold over Netanyahu and the Israeli government. Netanyahu's in bed in a coalition with some of the worst far-right fundamentalists in Israel. He has to be, to stay in power. Now, Hamas is a bunch of idiots. And yes, Israel has a right to defend itself from rocket attacks. Hamas is clearly unconcerned about long-term strategic initiatives. They really are. They're stupid if they think that rockets are going to do anything. Except, here's the thing. The far right-wingers in Israel who are violent mofos, and the far right-wingers in Hamas who are violent religious mofos, they love each other. They do. They need each other. They thrive on each other. The far right-wing violent idiots on both sides get more power when things get like this. So Hamas sends rockets, and Israel responds by killing civilians. And the lines get drawn even further and deeper. That helps the extremists on the right wing of both sides. That's how they keep in power. Oh, let's go back to the Gaza thing real quick. It's important to remember the status quo in Gaza before you started paying attention a month ago. Total, complete economic blockade. Most construction materials, the things you need to build a country, are not allowed into Gaza. That's true. Israel controls who can go into and out of the country. Imagine living like that. You wouldn't stand for it. One of the British MPs just said, I understand why they send rockets sometimes. He says, I don't condone it, it's horrible, it's wrong, but I understand. And he's getting so much crap, and he's not backing down, he's not apologizing, he shouldn't. We do understand the frustration. Israel is crushing Gaza every day. Economically and militarily. They can't even use their own seaport? They can't travel? Meanwhile, Israel steals continuously Palestinian land in other parts of Israel. Stealing it, just right out from under people who've been living there for generations. They're still doing it every day. You would fire rockets too. I'm not saying it's right, I wouldn't, but a lot of Americans would. If that's what was happening to them, they would fight back. It's understandable. It's a stupid tactic, it's an immoral tactic, and Israel's responding in an equally immoral way, if not more so, because they're the strong party here. The status quo in Gaza is horrific for the people of Palestine. Horrific. And Israel crushes them slowly every day. And they feel it and they know it. You don't pay attention to that. But when there's bombs and rockets flying, suddenly you're an expert on Israel. Israel's crushing Palestine and Gaza economically, politically, spiritually, and militarily every day.
You have a
Sure, let's take the call. It's been so long, I don't even remember. Oh, they hung up. Oh, send them through again. That's all right. We'll let them get the final word. I don't see them. Mel, sorry, you got to call earlier. That's the part that Americans don't, that criticism. Oh, let's take the call. Hey, you're on the air.
Okay, I just got to comment on the R line.
Yeah, you got 30 seconds.
Okay, but that really doesn't compare with the subsidy that's given to air travel in comparison with what's given to more local travel like.
Oh, you got to call back next week, my friend. We got 5 seconds. All right?
Okay.
All right, get your thoughts together or tweet at me, okay?
Okay.
All right, take care. All right, see you, monkeys. We'll see you later. See you next week.